Christopher Spera, and this is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 151, a new flavor of Eff-ery.
Welcome to the shit show.
Oh, yes.
Every single day.
It's been one of those days.
A new flavor of fuckery.
Ah, thank you.
Yes. And one of those weeks.
Yeah, it's been one of those days. This is, like I said, this is episode number 151, recorded live Sunday, November 9th, 2025, live from iTechGear Central. And I am Christopher Spera, the editor-in-chief here of the new flavor of Eff-ery. And joining us today is supposed to be Mr. Chris Gavula, but he's had a power outage. And while the power is back on, Xfinity isn't back. So hopefully he will be joining us later. But no promises, kids. But, well, that there, of course, is the editor here at iTechGear and the former contributing writer at Gear Diary and currently the host of the Linux Link Tech Show, Living in the Retro Arcade podcast, and Fitness for the Rest of Us. That's Brother Joe McLaughlin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing quite well, and I'm 1 week away from saying at this show next time I'll run my first 10K. So, yay!
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. How goes the training for that?
I'm doing good. I'm settling down into not running that much this week. You know, I'll run a little bit, but not too much, just to kind of save myself for the run.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Better you than me.
Yeah, well.
Say again over?
It's one of those things that sounded like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. So hopefully things will go well and everything will be just spiffy. And of course, that extra voice there in the background, that was the former co-owner of WUGNET Publications and of course editor here at iTechGear.org. That's Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, but the weather's not. Over the past 24 hours here in Tennessee, we've gone from T-shirts to puffy jackets, and I'm thinking the big coats are coming out next because winter is here.
Oh, yeah.
Early.
Oh, winter is coming. Yes.
Oh.
Most definitely, to borrow a quote from one of our favorite shows. And I'm telling you, it's not a good time.
No.
It truly isn't. It flurried here today.
Aww.
It flurried here today, and I am not a happy camper. You see me with you guys out there in podcast land can't see it, but I've got a skull cap on my little bald head. I'm cold,
beanie.
So I am freezing my yabos off, and yeah. So
is that Yinzer speak or something? Yabos?
Yabos, yes.
Yabos. That's something to do with Chicago or what?
I'm certain that every guy out there knows what a yabo is.
It's a Chicago thing.
And I don't know about a Chicago thing, but anyway,
Yes.
you know, getting into our Apple segment, you know, one of the things that's been hot trot, the 26s being released, and just recently 26.1 has been released after about a week in the release candidate status. It was just released. 26.1 was released this past week. And we've got some interesting, I want to say interesting new features to look at.
Like a glass toggle.
That's the big one. That's the big one because there's a lot of folks out there that are saying, you know, glass, no, thank you. But if you're not a fan, you can go and toggle it off. And I don't know if I would exactly say off. Larry, have you toggled it off or hit the toggle on that at all? You were initially not a fan.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm okay either way. There's some things I like about it. What I hate with Mac OS is I love how the menu bar is blended into the desktop. Right. But when you turn it off on Mac OS, you turn that off as well. Yeah. And then you're back to a menu bar. It looks like
you've got a solid color menu bar that goes across.
Yeah, they still haven't made Mac OS Liquid Glass anywhere near as good as iPad and iPhone. So no. I'm good with either one of them. But
yeah.
Probably I'd rather not use it, but I flip back and forth.
Yeah, so that being the big feature there, we've got also camera controls in the photo app options. There's a new lock screen swipe to open camera toggle in settings. All right, and then you've got different ways to customize the fitness app workout plans. And then there's new language support in Apple Intelligence. And I don't know if you could actually even say you can use those words together in a sentence because I don't think it's very intelligent yet.
No.
Um, it may be in the near future because, as a brief aside, it's not on the list today, but um, Apple and Google have finally signed that agreement that will allow a customized version of Google Gemini to power Apple Intelligence, which I
Yeah,
think
I'm
is
actually going to talk a tiny bit about that later.
okay.
Tiny bit.
All right, good,
Yeah.
good, because I think that's a very, very good move. But
Yep.
I
um,
do too.
but now in Apple Translate, you've got traditional Chinese, Danish, Dutch, Norwegian, Portuguese for Portugal, not necessarily Brazil, but Portugal, Swedish, Turkish, and Vietnamese. All right. This is in addition to Mandarin Chinese and traditional and simplified Chinese, Italian, Japanese, and Korean. All right, which goes along with the English, French, German, Brazilian Portuguese, and Spanish, not necessarily Mexican Spanish, but Spanish that came out at launch. So they're genuinely building on um, the languages that Apple Intelligence and Translate will work with. So.
Hmm.
And there were a couple of smaller updates. For example, Apple TV Plus is now just called Apple TV, and they changed the icon on it as well. It's got a nice little rainbow effect on the bottom of the TV. So anyway, so and that's really what's what it but in 26.2, which the first developer beta and probably public betas have now been released. There's updates to reminders. There's a couple of updates for Apple Music's lyrics feature. You're going to get some updates in Apple Podcast to allow the app will now automatically generate chapters for every podcast episode with artificial intelligence. Um, Podcast producers can continue to supply their own chapters if they wish, and those will override the AI generated ones. And then the update will bring a new podcast mentions feature. So there's some cool things that are there. The sleep score that you may have been seeing with your Apple Watch has been refined. So you've got updates there, and then there are some updates to Apple News, and then there are some specific updates to 26.2 specifically to the EU. Um, iOS 26.2 will expand live translation with AirPods to the EU for the first time. And it is also removing the Wi-Fi network syncing feature from iPhone and Apple Watch. That means if you want to share a saved Wi-Fi network from your phone, you're no longer going to be able to do that automatically. You've got to go ahead and manually sign in to your network. So you're going to have to physically share that password with somebody. So,
Okay.
yeah. Um, but it's just starting its beta run, so we should be seeing that I think over the next few weeks or so. Will get some updates to that in the beta realm. So this next thing though that I think is pretty cool, and from my perspective, this could probably be the one feature that allows Apple to conquer the world, if anything will.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Joel doesn't think so. But me
No,
personally, this is a big
yeah.
one. Apple is preparing to enter the low-cost MacBook market. So they're bringing back the MacBook. This is not just the MacBook Air. This is the actual MacBook that they got rid of. The last one I think was in 2012, that gold 12-inch
Yeah, remember
MacBook.
Chris Spera loved that thing. I mean, Chris
Gavula.
Gavula
Gavula,
loved
yeah,
it.
he was a
Yeah,
real
yeah,
big
yeah,
fan
yeah.
of it.
Well, I don't see like the article says that looks like they're aiming to take people away from like Chromebooks and stuff like that, and I don't think so because a MacBook is completely different use case than a Chromebook. A Chromebook is basically Chrome.
I will give you
Yeah,
that.
I
I'll
mean
give you that.
it's
You're right
yeah
there.
it's I don't I don't think it's gonna. I still think that Chromebooks are still gonna be less than this would be. I
Well,
Oh,
mean,
this
there'll
is
be less, but I don't think that's the intent. From a marketing perspective, I think
right?
if they bring out a four, five, $600, even $600 MacBook, there are a lot of people right now. You walk up to them and say, "Hey, why don't you have a MacBook?" Because I can't afford it.
I
That's
can
the
get.
number
Well, the
one
thing is,
answer.
four or
yeah.
$500 is not that much cheaper.
Oh
It's
yeah, it
not
is,
gonna
Joe.
buy
There's
it
Well,
much.
the
no,
MacBook
no,
Air starts at
thousand.
$799. All right.
Right.
The MacBook
Uh,
Air starts at $799. The bottom of the line MacBook
yeah,
Air.
but
You
that's
can
not the
still
current
get
MacBook Air.
right,
That's the
but the thing
dumbed
is,
down one.
you can still get a Windows-based laptop for under 500.
You
Oh, of
can.
course.
You
Oh, yeah, you
can.
can.
All
You can
I
right.
get it
just
for
think this
200.
this is this is just Apple trying to lure people into the ecosystem. If they get this and they really love it, their next computer, 4 or 5 years down the road, or 2 years, might be a
Yeah.
MacBook Pro.
Yeah. See,
And
you're right, Larry. The MacBook Air, the entry level MacBook Air is $1,000. It's $999.
that's what I thought.
All right.
Right.
It's $999. You're right.
There's a 15-inch Ryzen 3 laptop on Amazon right now
mhm.
for $300.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
if
I
they
don't
Joe,
see
yeah,
what
but
Apple
if they
about
can
making
get
one that cheap.
here's the thing though, with this low cost MacBook, it's gonna run Mac OS 26 or better. All right. It's gonna run the standard desktop um Mac OS. It's also gonna do it on um an A series Apple processor, which is their
Right.
iPhone
but
processor.
Apple is not trying to lure away people who don't want to leave Windows. They're trying to get the people on the fence. Oh,
Yeah,
I would think I might
I
want to
agree.
go to Apple one day. Well, that's who they're looking for. They're not trying to lure away the guy that's happy with Apple. I mean, with
With
Windows.
Windows, no, but likely
Wow.
not.
No.
But if there are some switchers that are out there that are interested in dabbling in or taking a step into the Mac garden, the walled garden, if you will, that $1,000 price tag of jumping in with a laptop is difficult,
And the
right?
other thing you're forgetting here is the Windows 10 people who just refuse to go to 11, and now a few of them, and we're moving a lot of them over to Linux. A lot of them are asking about, well,
Right.
why can't I go to Apple? Then they find out how much the hardware is. They go, oh no, 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 no.
Yeah, yeah.
Now here's an interesting tidbit here. Now, granted, it's
Hmm.
a refurb, but I can get a Dell 11-inch Dell Chromebook with a Celeron 4020, 4 gig of RAM, 16 gig of flash memory for $50.
Yeah, but you've also got to understand that
Not the greatest thing in the
what you're
world, but
buying there is a $50 computer.
yeah,
And I would remind everyone consistently,
It's a
continuously,
$50
that's a
computer.
$50 computer.
that's
All
right.
right.
That's
It's
right.
a $50 computer. Do not expect great things from it at all.
No.
Even even if it's a Chromebook, all right. Even if it's a Chromebook, don't expect great Chromebook things from this either.
Mhm.
All right.
Correct. Yep.
All right.
Nope.
This is just a share a step a small hair's step above a Android tablet or a entry level cell phone. All right.
Yeah. True.
And you're not going to be
Yeah.
able to make calls on it. So
No. But yeah,
think
I mean,
before you
it's the
spend
thing
50
is though
bucks.
is At the price point Apple can hit, it's not going to win a lot of people. It really isn't.
You know, there are a lot of folk out there right now that if my son could have, if my oldest boy, he's looking for a laptop, he wants an Apple laptop. All
Right.
right. He wants something that's going to run Mac OS 26. And if this was out there right now at 599 and maybe even 699, he
Could.
probably would jump at it. All
Yeah.
right. To get him
Maybe.
what he needs.
Yeah.
He wants, you know, because right now he's running a 13-inch 20 somewhere between a 2011 and a 2016 MacBook Air. All right, with like an i5 processor in it. All right, it's almost a 10-year-old MacBook Air, you know, or older. And he's struggling because he wants something that's got a little bit more punch. And even,
Yeah, there's another market for this. I don't know if Apple's trying to hit it, the market or not, but there's a lot of enterprise companies out there who use Chromebooks. They use good Chromebooks, but they're
yep,
still Chromebooks.
right.
And maybe Apple's trying to tap into that demographic as
Maybe,
well.
maybe
I
you
don't
never
know.
know.
But this
Um,
machine's got to be a little bit faster than I think it's going to be to do that.
you're probably right. You're probably not looking, and you're probably looking at somewhere between 1 to 2 USB-C
Gigahertz.
ports. I don't see Thunderbolt making an appearance on this at all. Um, you're probably going to get a Mag 3 charging station. You may just get a USB-C port that's dedicated to it or used for it. You're probably going to get a very, very low powered, maybe 10 megapixel center stage camera
But
in the,
what
you know,
you got to look at the demographic here, Chris. When you're looking at, let's say, a call center that's got people answering
yeah,
stupid questions, and they got 500 people working at home 4 or 5 hours a day on a
yep,
Chromebook. That's all
yep.
they give them. This might be a better product for that. That's all I'm saying.
And I totally agree. All
I mean,
right.
every bank, every other big business out there, when you talk to somebody, they're
Yep.
not in an office, they're at home. Every
Right.
one of them.
Right. This is like I said, this is going to run an A series processor. It's going to run an iPhone
But that's
capable
pretty fast.
processor.
I mean, look at the
It's
A
pretty
series on a
fast, and
phone.
and it's supposed to run the full blown Mac OS, which should tell you a lot about your phone.
Mm-hmm.
All right, should tell you a lot about your phone because you're probably looking at an A15 and A16 processor to start. I could be wrong because I don't know of any specs that have been tossed out on this anywhere, but I think that it's very possible that you could get a fairly powerful iPhone processor in this phone and still be able to run full blown Mac OS,
Got it.
and I think that's amazing.
Yep.
So you know
We'll
what?
see.
It wasn't amazing.
Uh,
But what wasn't amazing, and this one really kind of hit me as funny. I wonder who got chastised and demoted or fired for this. But apparently, there was a new release of Apple's web store that hit, and some developer or developers somewhere forgot to disable the source maps for it, and now the code for the Apple Web Store is out there. Larry, what's going on here?
Well, I mean, this is not a big deal, as Joel said, but what this really is the web version of the App Store. You know,
Hmm.
when you're out there surfing and you look at and you click on something, it looks like you're in the App Store, but you're still in your browser. That's the
Yep.
visual that this is, and
Yep.
Right.
that's the one they released the new interface to. And it kind of makes it now, and I've looked at it, it looks better. It looks almost like you're in the App Store, so it looks like you think you're there anyway. So Apple's web developers somewhere, somebody forgot to disable the source maps. And for those who don't know or probably don't care what a source map is, quick explanation. It's this is meant someone was able to archive the source code for the site's entire front end and they put it out there on GitHub, and that's when someone found it.
Yep.
And if you'll remember back when AMD did a big faux pas similar to this, when they first came out with their Fidelity Super Resolution 4 version. They put it out there, did this very same thing. Everybody got source code, but that was a little more serious because that
Yep.
was the actual source code to the product, not the source code to the looking at the front door, not in the front door, just looking at it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Today's websites, if you look at them, they're really complex, much more so than they used to be. Professional developers will take a whole toolkit and they'll write all this code, and then they have to dumb it down, or as we say, transpile it back down for the browser for the sake of
Right.
performance. And these
Right.
files are often minimized, put into a little bucket, and they make this neat bundle that works really quickly in a browser. That's all this is. So
Right.
I'm like Joel. I don't. This is not a big deal, but it's still egg on the face of someone as big as Apple.
Oh
Should
yeah.
not have
Oh
happened.
yeah.
That's the big
Somebody
part.
got taken back behind tool shed for this.
Yeah, I don't. I doubt that they got fired over this, but boy, they got their butts chewed. I'm sure they
Oh, I'm
did.
certain. I'm
Yeah,
certain. Somebody's hurting to sit down.
yeah,
But it just I just find it funny.
yeah. It
Um,
is.
because you would think that something like this, a check like this might be automated. You
One
know?
would hope. Right.
You know, I'm just saying, but that's just me. So anyway, um, here's something that I thought was kind of cool. All right. Apparently there's some new satellite features that are going to be coming
Yeah.
to iPhone. And Joel, what's going on with these? Because I think that somebody like you might be very interested in something like this.
Yeah. So Gurman, Mark Gurman, our rumor extraordinaire person there, uh, says that there's 5 different features. Apple Maps via satellite, so navigation in Apple Maps without cellular or Wi-Fi. So I am assuming it doesn't really say. It says via satellite, but I'm like, can't you just download maps for offline use like you can on Google? Yeah. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
I think you
Why not?
can. I think you can, but I don't.
Because that's the same thing as
Yeah,
this
that
would
would be
be,
the
in my
same kind of
opinion.
thing as this, and it'll obviously be
Yeah.
a little bit cheaper too.
Right.
You know?
Photos. Now this is interesting. Photos and messages via satellite. Now that is a handy thing to have. Like, for
Yes.
example, if you're injured and you want to send the rescuers a picture of the bone sticking out of your leg or something like that, then
Please hurry.
yes,
This isn't supposed to be like this.
yes. Uh, so that's definitely a useful feature. Natural usage. Uh, Satellite connectivity from indoor environments. So basically, without the need to physically point the device towards the clear sky.
This is huge.
That makes a whole
This
lot of sense.
is
Yeah.
huge.
Because
Um,
that's not an easy thing to do,
no.
especially now inside, yeah, but even outside. Like for example, say you have to orient
You're stuck
yourself
in a
and you're
cave.
gonna fall off the edge of a cave just so
Yeah.
you can get satellite connectivity. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not good.
You know,
So I mean,
or you're stuck somewhere that, isn't in a cave per se, but you don't have line of
yes,
sight to the
yes,
actual satellite, you know?
like on a side of a mountain or something,
Yes.
whatever. So all good things there. Satellite
Right.
over 5G. That's gonna come anyway because they're integrating what is it, the Starlink in it. So
Yeah.
that's probably what they're talking about here is my
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Um,
But
it's
this
satellite
this is
API framework for third-party apps.
mhm.
About time, you know.
True.
You know,
This will allow new apps and
mhm,
existing apps to integrate directly with satellite-based services
right.
to allow you to continue to use them when there's no internet available
Yep.
and apparently when there's no line of sight.
Yep.
So
So
doing extra
that would be
satellite.
very useful for things like All Trails or Onyx Backcountry,
Yeah.
which I actually subscribe to both of those because Onyx Backcountry does things that All Trails doesn't do, and vice versa. So there's no one hiking backcountry app to rule them all, in my opinion. But at
Yeah.
least not yet, anyway.
Yeah, there is one big, and these are the five services or features that are coming on. And interestingly enough, there are currently no plans to integrate or enable phone calls, video calls, web browsing, et cetera, via satellite at this time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It may come later. All right. But those are going to be expensive
Mm-hmm.
services to enable, and I don't think that that's something that just everybody is going to be able
Yep.
to afford. You know,
Correct.
I would hope that they would waive the calls for 911 based services eventually, but
Oh,
you
I
know,
would hope. Yeah.
I'm just saying. So at least enabling that one guy stuck, you know, balancing himself in between two rock faces, you know, um, and trying to hey Shlomo, call 911. He'll be able to do that without having to take his arms or his feet off the walls, or whatever. So, but we'll see. But this is at least interesting and nice to be able to go and do something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. So,
Especially with the growing popularity of outdoor sports, ever since COVID, when
yeah.
that was all you could do.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's definitely not something that's going away anytime soon. So,
Yeah.
and it's something they've really been needed for a while. So,
Agreed. Agreed. And so that's this week's Apple segment. Short, sweet, you know, nothing too exciting, but it doesn't have to all be shock and awe this week. But as we move to our mobile Linux segment, what is all shock and awe this week, Larry?
mm,
It's Elon's the approval of Elon's $1 trillion salary. So what is going on there, sir?
Well, let me just open this with I personally do not think that any one single human being on the planet is worthy of a $1 trillion pay package. No.
Yeah.
But my opinion aside, Tesla shareholders have today voted to approve such a compensation package for Mr. Musk.
Mm-hmm.
More than $1 trillion over the next decade. But there are some caveats. He has to hit all of the plan's goals.
Mm-hmm.
And he did get 75% of the vote to approve this. So it wasn't like it was a narrow margin. It would give him 424 million shares of Tesla. He would get those in 12 increments, we'll call them, over this next decade.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that, I mean, to hit all those goals, the goals include things like delivering 20 million vehicles. That's a lot of
That's a lot of
cars.
electric cars.
I mean, that's a lot of
That's a
electric
lot of
cars.
electric cars.
Obtaining 10 million full driving subscriptions, and those aren't cheap. We have friends who they both have Teslas, and one of their cars has the full driving subscription, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not cheap.
No.
He has
No.
to deliver 1 million AI robots. He's got to put another 1 million robo taxis in operation, and he has to achieve $400 billion in corporate earnings. And this is before taxes and depreciation and all those things. But
Yeah.
and he's threatened to, I'm going to leave if you don't give me this. So they gave it to him. I mean, he's saying, like, it's not like I'm going to spend the money. I'm still going to be part of the company, and it's really still part of all of what you guys all own. But I mean, he can leave if he wants, and then he'd take it all with him, but he's got to wait 10 years
Well,
to do that.
yeah, he could, yeah, if he and 10 years, and if he makes all of those milestones, right?
Yeah, but what's ridiculous to me is the board chairman for Tesla said some stupid thing like, we're doing this to keep Mr. Musk motivated. Excuse me?
mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't he be motivated?
I mean, some of the investors were very vocal. They said that's just too much for any CEO to get when he spends most of his time running other companies like SpaceX,
Yeah,
Twitter,
Twitter.
and XAI.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a good point. Good point. I don't know. I this is far out of my pay grade. I don't deal in numbers like I can't even count that far.
Well, it's 1 trillion is 1,000 billion.
Mm.
I know it's a lot of
Okay,
money.
it's $1,000 billion. All right, is a trillion. I just don't understand. No one. Well, geez, the $5,000 that I'd like to get my hands on to buy a single MacBook Pro M4 M5 Max. You know,
Yeah, right.
ain't nothing. You know, dear
Well,
Elon, do you want to adopt a 60-year-old kid? You know,
yeah.
I mean,
And they're saying that same CEO, that same chairman of the board is saying, well, we got to keep him motivated because, he likes to build these other companies, and that's kind of like a hobby to him, where other CEOs go play golf. So, I mean, the more this person opens their mouth, the more it doesn't make sense.
yeah, I got nothing. Yeah, on
Me
this.
either, you know.
I just don't. I don't understand how anybody could be worth that much.
No.
You know? Um,
If he doesn't make any of the goals, if he doesn't do one thing right in all of those goals,
yeah.
he still gets $50 billion over the next 10 years.
So he could be an absolute loser and still walk
Yep,
away
he can
with
still
50
walk away
billion.
with $50 billion over
Yeah,
10
man.
years.
This kid's great grandchildren are never going to have to work again, ever.
No.
All right? Ever.
I get it. He's a pretty brilliant guy, but I just don't think any company should depend on one single person. I just no.
Yeah. Yeah, they want him to give up all of his other outside activities. All right?
Right, right.
And he's going to have to shut up about politics.
Well,
I
Good
don't
luck
I don't think
he
there.
that's
he's like a lot of people. He's never going to shut up.
yeah. Um and really spend all of his time making this company a great company. And this
One
is
of the board
from
members correctly said Elon Musk is a part-time CEO.
yeah,
The rest of
that's
the time
Mel
he's just
Mel
out there
Minow, and he's
piddling.
Minow, and he's also the one that said if they're going to pay him $1 trillion, he's going to have to give up all of his outside activities and shut up about politics. And I don't see that happening.
No.
Um,
Never.
and so they went ahead and they approved this and they got it put in place. And he still gets the 50 billion if he's a complete and if he just checks out, but is still the CEO and does a job, right?
Right.
Um, he's going to do what he wants. It's not going to he's not going to have to, he's Elon Musk. He's going to do what he wants. All
Right.
right? And even though they went ahead and they approved this, what are they going to do? Take it away from him? And if they take it away from him, isn't he going to go ahead and just walk? Which is what they don't want to have happen. So
Yep.
I think he's got him by the short and curlies, and I think that he's going to do what he wants.
I would agree.
So, but that's just me. So, and speaking of you mentioned XAI earlier, which is Elon Musk's AI company that he directly controls, and you and I have been talking about AI bots recently, and you went off and you compared two of the paid subscriptions. What's going on with this?
Well, actually, I did it for my own knowledge. I just wanted to know. I jumped more when this thing all started. I thought Gemini was the best. Then AI came in and they offered more and they fit my use cases better. So I jumped on their bandwagon and they've been
Right,
doing quite well for me, just for
right,
me. And
right.
I would caution you at the onset, everybody should pick the AI bot that works for you. But that said, I used the $20 subscription to Chat GPT Plus, I guess they call it, for
Mm-hmm.
some time. It does a really good job, but now Google is saying, hey, we need to up our game a little bit and take some of the subscription money away.
Mm-hmm.
So they have done some things that bottom line is the landscape here is changing constantly. Each one of these bots, and I leave out Copilot because it just doesn't count. I'm sorry. It's nowhere near as capable as either one of these ever was, even in their beginnings. It does okay. They've wrapped Copilot into Office and all of the Microsoft products, and that's fine. Let it stay there and do whatever that they want it to do. But
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the world is going to choose between the other two or three big bots. So
Right.
just
I
so my
agree.
personal findings don't sound like some Forbes article that you have to scroll to the bottom for the nugget, I firmly believe that for me, the Gemini Advanced Solution, that's their $20 package, is better for me. For me. But
Mm-hmm.
when you come, it's like I said, there's always a subjective perspective, there's always an objective perspective. The latter translates into use cases and something we talk about a lot on this show. So, for
Absolutely.
my own use cases or objectives, this weekend I created 10 diverse queries ranging from a simple image to a complex high resolution image, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of basic coding, some
Okay.
research questions, some work related tasks, and some writing things. And aside from Gemini winning all the tests except one, if you're
Mm-hmm.
in the Google ecosystem for Google Workspace or even just Gmail, Gemini
Yep.
is the clear winner. I mean, Google has figured out a way to just intertwine Gemini into every one of their products. And whenever you need something, there it is. It just pops right up. And they've
Sure.
gotten really, really good at this and good on them, I guess, because that's what people need is help when they don't know they need help. So, the other reason I tend to side with Gemini is it's another selfish reason, but Apple says they're going to use a version of Gemini that Google's going to make just for them for the
Uh-huh.
next version of Siri. So if I want to have all my AI in at least the same basket for the Apple stuff and Google, I don't see it being anything else. Doesn't mean I won't go use ChatGPT once in a while. But
Mm-hmm.
here's where Google is so good at it's just like YouTube TV. They're willing to take losses to get customers to make money from other ways, especially advertising. What
Mm-hmm.
they've thrown into this is amazing. Number one, a full Google One subscription for 2 terabytes that would cost you normally $10 a month. So that pays half of it right there. That's
Yeah.
only now you're only paying $10. And
Just for the
Joel, I
AI,
mean,
for the AI specifically. Yeah.
yeah, and honestly, Google One is one of the better cloud solutions out there. Joel, would you agree with that? You're more into
Yeah.
Google than I am. It's a
Yep.
rock
I
solid
mean,
solution and it's cheap.
yep. It's
So
way better than Copilot. About the only thing
yeah.
it's close is ChatGPT, and I actually get to play more with the paid version of it than
The other thing that Google's good
Siri.
about is sharing the wealth with others.
Mm-hmm.
If they put Gemini in every aspect of every solution that they do online, docs, sheets, slides, meet, drive, calendar, maps, you name it, they
Mm-hmm.
do it in all tasks, keep. But if you put Microsoft 365 documents into your Google Drive, lo and behold, Gemini will work with them. So they're giving you a lot.
They
They're
are.
giving you a notebook LM for all the research assistant work. I mean, and the list goes on. I'm not even going to bore you with it, but there's like 20 or 30 things more that they give you free. Chat
Mm-hmm.
GPT gives you none of this. None of
No,
it.
they don't. They don't. And I
So and tell them about your the
yeah. Yeah. One of the things that
experience you had.
well, let me so one of the things that's going on, I'm working for a a healthcare related company, and their computers are pretty much locked down. They don't allow you to install anything outside of what they have available in their specific software store they call Software Center. And you just can't go and download anything out of Software Center. You've got to go and request it, and then it must be reviewed and approved, all right, for you to even have it, all right. But one of the things that they do give you access to is ChatGPT. All right. They also give you. You also have access to Google Gemini and to Copilot. But one of the things that you have the ability to do, depending on what happens with this when you do this and what you're trying to do, is if you want to run a PowerShell script, you can run a PowerShell script without elevated privileges. And I thought, well, this is probably a good idea. You know, why don't I wanted to install, this is something that that was originally developed by a company called Quiche Designs, that was way back, 25 years old, but still available as a free program. It's called Copy 2 PC. Larry, we had considered it for our Shareware Pick of the Week program many years ago over at
We
WUGNET.
did.
And the only reason why the application did not get the award was simply because the developer was Japanese, didn't speak very good English, and things weren't translating well. So he finally just called it off and said, I don't understand, sorry, you know, and
Right.
no worries there, and no problems. And he eventually released that as a free program after about maybe 10, 15 years. But long story short, I can't install it at work, but I could create and did end up creating a text-based program that did much the same thing, and eventually tried to install or create and have ChatGPT develop a GUI-based program that did much the same thing. The only thing that I wanted to be different about it was to be able to work with SharePoint, because I have to often copy files up to SharePoint, and I want to have it work with different cloud services so that you don't have to have the actual cloud service installed on your machine. You can just copy up to it. And this leads me into the second half of this particular topic, where ZDNet has written an article. It says, in order to go ahead and work better with ChatGPT, you need to go ahead and cuss at it and be rude. Well, if that's the case, hell, this is not a problem for me, because ChatGPT as a lead developer absolutely sucks. I went and I spent a whole bunch of time creating a specification and an outline. I went ahead and had at least one chat in a project for this application that I wanted to create, related to process and methodology and directives for this thing to follow. You're going to do the following every time. You're going to deliver the following every time. You're the lead developer. I test. I provide strategic vision, and I provide the requirements. So I'm your product owner. You're the dev. And I can spend a good 5 to 8 hours arguing with and cussing at ChatGPT to get them to do just simple things like create a tab dialog box, and one of the tabs is an about tab that has the application logo, the name of the application, who the application is developed by, me, a simple copyright line and a blurb. And I spent over 5 hours trying to get this artificial intelligence system to correct the bugs in that one specific tab. It kept on pulling features out and pulling features out and pulling features. I'm like, why are you pulling features out? Did I tell you to do that? No. Well, then why are you doing that? Well, I'm trying to get down to, I don't care. You should be able to do that without pulling, features out of the application. I don't.
ChatGPT is very apologetic when
Oh,
you
sure.
say
Yeah.
you've done something wrong. It'll always say, "Well, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. So let me try that again," and it'll do the same damn thing 20 times in a row.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
But it'll
Absolutely.
apologize every time.
Yes. I told you don't do this, and you did this anyway. Yep, you're right. I'm sorry. I did that.
Gemini doesn't do that. I
No,
promise you.
it doesn't. It doesn't. There are things that I've been trying. I tried to do with Chat GPT for another project that I just could not get it to do. That Gemini was able to do in under 15 minutes
Mhm.
for one shot. Do this, and it did it.
Something else you said, Chris. I got to say something. It's not off topic, but it's you mentioned what your company calls the software center, where your people
Yeah.
can
Yep.
can get things. I get that, and that's been an issue. I mean, for those of us who've been in IT for many decades,
Yep.
that's been around forever. Always, IT stops you from doing what you want. It's just the way we always are.
Yep.
I have always maintained it's got me in a lot of trouble over the years, but I believe that stifles employees. There's always a way that you can let people use the products that they need to use, even if you have to bend the rules or rewrite the rules or something. But if you're out there and you're in this business of IT, don't do that. Try your best not to do that. Try and give your employees what the hell they need
Or better
because
yet, give me the local admin. All right. Especially if I can produce active certifications that tell you that I'm CompTIA A plus certified, Network Plus certified, Security Plus certified, Server Plus certified. If I can go ahead and show you all that stuff,
right,
Right.
they need to
I don't
bend it for
understand.
you without.
Bend it for me, or or
I
look.
know why they can't give it to someone else, but
But even still, go ahead, give them the local admin with the caveat that says, screw it up, we're gonna blow it all back, and you don't get that anymore. All right.
we used to have actually a little test with one of the companies I worked at that we would give people, and it wasn't probably worth anything, but
Right.
it did let us know that you, Chris Spera, knew what you were doing.
Right. Right. What really bothers me is, hey, not only do I know what I'm doing, all right, but I know more than enough to get my own butt out of trouble.
Right.
All right.
But take someone like Joel. Joel's in the business big time. But Joel, if you were to go to work and quit your job and go to work somewhere else
Yep.
and not be on the IT side, but be on the user side,
Yep.
you should be able to have access to these things that Chris is talking about
If
because
I
you
could.
know how to
Yeah.
use them.
Yeah.
But that
Well,
company probably won't let you.
there's certain things we will let it. They'll let me do certain things but one thing here's a great example is I was trying to install DIA or one of the different AR browsers or Comment or any of those, and you don't have to have a paid subscription to
No. Uh-uh.
Perplexity or any of these other things to use them, and they won't let me install those. Which, okay, fine, I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me none. Now we'll eventually get a paid version of ChatGPT, so I'll get to use that a little bit more because they're starting to offer that for anybody who wants it within reason, of course. And they asked me whether I wanted just the bot stuff or if I wanted developers. I'm like, just give me the bot stuff. I don't need the
Yeah.
developer crap.
Yeah.
I'm like,
The biggest
so.
issue that I have with this great company, don't get me wrong, this is a great company to work for.
Mhm.
All right. Great environment, great culture, love it to death. I just have an issue, and it's all me. It's all
Right.
on me. All right,
Hmm.
because I'm so IT savvy. All right, and I'm not in IT specifically. All right. Um, Even though I have all of these they've got it locked down so tight, and they have absolutely positively no exceptions. All right, this is the way that it is. If we've given you a computer, this is the way that it is. You can use this computer and do your job, or not use the computer and not be able to do your job. The choice is yours. And that's an
Well,
easy choice to make.
And sadly, and I get why they do that, and probably they're right for doing it because they have covered their butt, and the
Oh, sure,
company's not going to get in trouble.
sure.
Uh, so I get that, but
I totally understand why they do it.
Right.
Um, given the fact that this particular company has had a bit of a revolving door on their CTO spot over the last 10 years, I can certainly understand why their senior directors and directors of IT have, and maybe even their VPs have said, "Uh-uh, lock it down, lock it down. I don't need anybody coming in here and trying to do this, that, or the other thing. I've got too many, we've got too much change in management to allow this or allow that, or forget it, lock it all down." I can totally understand that. All right. And I can also totally understand, the philosophy behind it. We have work to
Right.
do.
yeah, but so many of these systems guys, as we all know, have ways to roll things back if somebody screws it up. I mean, I let 4 or 5 people do things on our corporate website that I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're not even webmaster trained, but they do them. I've
Right.
taught them how to do them. But if they
Sure.
screw something up in 2 seconds, I can roll it back and
Oh,
we're
absolutely.
we're,
Well,
we're
not only can
good.
you roll it back, but you can also roll back the privileges too.
Oh
You,
yeah, but I mean,
you can
so I'm
prevent
not
that from happening
worried about
again.
losing something.
Yep. But still, I can understand, for as large as this organization is and for as many people as they've got to support, what they don't want to do is constantly re-image machines, constantly try to roll something back on an individual endpoint. And I can understand that. But we've gone a little way off field here.
Yeah,
Um,
speaking of rolling back,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope somebody gets rolled back in this next one.
Yep. And you know what? Yeah. So the next item up for bids here,
Yeah.
kids. Um, Google versus Disney. Now, Joel, give us a little bit of a background on what the issue is here. What's going on
So,
with Google and Disney? Why are they fighting? Because they are.
like many cable slash TV providers out there, their contract for Disney properties is currently coming up. That includes ESPN, ABC, and Disney Channel and all that stuff
Yep.
on YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Google says Disney wants to force a deal with terms that would raise the prices on their customer, while Disney says Google is not interested in achieving a fair deal, but consumers are the real losers as these multi-billion-dollar companies fight. Now, my one biggest complaint about this is the same I had many years ago when
Mm-hmm.
Spectrum, or no wait, it's Comcast at my dad's. They were in a disagreement with some sort of channel, and they put banners all over the screen that says your cable provider is blah. I'm like, okay, listen, don't involve me as a consumer in your freaking fight, okay? For one,
Mm-hmm.
that's a pet peeve I have. I'm like, it's between you guys. All I want's a damn content. Don't
I
and
don't
all
need to
these
know or
cable companies.
understand why y'all are bickering. All
That's
right.
right. Yeah,
I,
most
I
people
need to
just
understand
know
that you
that you
are,
have
but I
it.
don't need to know why.
Right. They just need to know that you have that property, or have that channel, the ESPN or whatever. They don't care about your freaking fight. All right. In fact, I'm fully convinced that if you'd ask most customers, "Hey, would you pay an extra $5 if you didn't have ESPN, or an extra $5 to get ESPN versus not having it?" Most people would probably be okay
Most
with
people
that.
that have ESPN or pick a channel, pick a
Right.
service, right?
Yes.
That's part of the overall package, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would probably say yes.
Yeah. I mean, so, but in any event, Google actually is doing a very smart thing in that, because those are currently not on YouTube TV currently. That would be soon. They were going to put a $20 credit to their subscribers.
Right. So as of to today,
Yeah.
as of today,
Well, it's
all right.
supposed to. Now,
You're
I got an
supposed to
email.
be offered a $20 credit on next month's bill, but apparently you've got to jump through some hoops to get it. You've got to
This
claim it.
is over the email I just got 4 hours ago says over the next few days you will receive a follow-up email with instructions on how to redeem your $20 credit for YouTube TV. Once redeemed, it will be applied to your next bill, and rather than just do it automatically. So I mean, which is
See, and that's what I think that they should do. Don't make me jump through hoops. If you're busy, it's bad enough. It's bad enough that you guys are bickering.
bickering.
All right. And I've got to have 2 Christmases now, but now you're going to go ahead and make me beg you for the extra present. All right.
No, I don't. I don't think it's begging. I differ there a little bit. I think they're just being. They know that there are certain few people, maybe 2%, 10%,
They
3%,
don't
I
give
don't
a
know,
shit.
won't care about it.
Right.
They won't go through the hoops to get the $20, and they're going to save it times 20 million people. So they're going to
Oh,
do that.
that's
That's
a
all this is.
that's a flavor of effery that I just don't need. Honestly, if you're going to offer a credit, give me just give everybody the credit. All right. And then if you have to, charge Disney back for it. All right. Pick a number and charge Disney back for it. All right. And say
Uh,
this is because you
Disney's
withheld the
going to
service.
lose. That's all I can say.
Eventually, I
Yeah.
think you're right. Because what was the market cap on Disney?
Disney is worth a full $200 billion. Google's worth over 3 trillion, and Google doesn't mind losing money. I mean, they lost money on YouTube TV for 5.5 years before they broke a dime profit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they aren't gonna when you're making $3 trillion, a couple hundred million here and there isn't gonna hurt you.
But that means a lot to Disney.
It does. It does. Um, do I think the issue, I think at the heart of the issue is that Disney wants to prioritize their own services, like Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN and ABC over those of the YouTube TV subscribers receiving
Yep.
the same
Yeah,
services.
they think their stuff's worth more than the average
So
stuff.
they want
It's not.
right. Um,
I mean, I want it. Don't get me wrong. I want my ESPN back. I want
well,
ABC back. But
I'd like to be able to see, well, here's the thing. I think it's kind of beautiful right now. I believe The View is an ABC based
Yes.
property. It ain't on in my house anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a
I'm
happy
fine with that.
person. I like that. That's pretty cool. The less I have to see of Joy Behar, the better off I am. But that's a personal thing. All right. I just don't like
right.
all the women sitting around yucky, 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 yucky. But that's just me. Um, but at the same time, I'd like to be able to see the news on the ABC affiliate here in Chicago. All right. I'd like to be able to see some of the programs. I was not able to watch some football last week. Wasn't able to watch it this week because it's on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Monday Night Football, I believe, is an ABC product, right? Or an ABC program. I don't think I'm gonna be able
It
to watch
is,
it.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'll admit, I just went out and bought another competitor just so I could have ABC
Yeah.
and ESPN and all the rest of them.
Yeah. So that's where I'm hurting is it just bothers me that I'm not able to see that programming, and the fact that I can't watch Monday Night Football, right? And the fact that the NFL channel doesn't broadcast that game until the day after.
Right.
Why do I want to watch it on Tuesday?
Right. Yeah.
It's all over the news what happened, on Monday Night Football. I'd like to watch it while everybody else is watching it, please. And I don't know if that's worth just $20,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just me. So, but it might be worth $20.
Linux.
It's a copy of the Linux Beginner's Bible, which is a book that I've decided to write.
Mm-hmm.
And why am I writing a book? Because of the recent um, uh, ending of Windows 10 support on consumer-based computers, we've been talking a lot about installing Linux on those computers, and it would be a perfect how that would be a perfect marriage because of the way that the driver base is constructed, because of um, Linux's ability to actually run and run well on lower spec hardware. Um, it's perfect for those PCs falling out of support. And I've written a series of 4 articles that are primer length, meaning that they're long.
Mm-hmm.
They're very long. All right. They're 25 plus pages each. The first thing that you see after a very brief introduction is a table of contents where you can click on any one of those sections to go right to that specific sentence, because it's going to take you a while to get through them. You know, why would you write something that long, Chris? Well, because some of the things that you're going to need to know to install an operating system that you're not familiar with is a lot of context and a lot of background. Why do things work this way? Why do I have to do this? Why is, uh, uh, instead of, getting a directory, well, first of all, why am I working with the terminal at all? Why can't I do it all just with the graphical user interface? Why would I ever want to go and chase after an open terminal? Why can't I just go and download software off the internet? Why do I have to get it from a special software center, like we were talking about earlier? Or, why do I have to get it from a repository, et cetera, et cetera? Why is Linux constructed this way? I go through, and in the first couple of chapters, I go through why Linux is the way that it is, why Microsoft is the way that it is, and help everybody understand the state of things, and then understand
Mm-hmm.
uh, what you can do with Linux, et cetera, et cetera. And this is not meant to be something that you would spend, reading into the wee hours, so gripping and so entertaining that you can't stand it and put it, you can't put it down. This is a true field guide or Bible, if you will, that would allow you to use it as reference material. All right. I want to do this. How do I do that? What are the commands that I need? Do I have to use the command prompt, or can I do it graphically? And how do I do that? And that's kind of sort of where I'm doing. The articles that I wrote are on the top 100 really cool looking Linux distributions that are out there, and how do I download them and install them. Every Linux install has a home directory. What the heck is a home directory, and why do I care? Why do I have a home directory? All right, and I explain a little bit about the Linux's architecture and why it's constructed the way it's constructed, and why you have a home directory. All right, and why, believe it or not, Windows is starting to move back towards that when it was so far away from it to begin with. And then uh, downloading and installing a program called Grub to Win, which is a menu based program that you create, or that gets created often if you have more than one operating system installed on a Linux operating system installed on your machine, to help you choose between the two or more operating systems on your machine, so you can start them and boot to them. With Grub to Win, you can do that in Windows. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, because maybe you want to have Windows still on your machine for whatever reason. Grub is it's not an easy thing to construct. It's not an easy thing to code. And yes, you would have to code to create that, but or at least update it if things twist sideways. And it's easier to do in a familiar environment like Windows as opposed to anything else. And then troubleshooting that, and creating what I've called the PC of distros, or this multi-booting monster that I created that boots not only Windows, but 10 different Linux distributions. Is it possible to create a multi-boot environment? Yes, it is. And I've got 10 besides Windows. And when I got done, well, there's about 100 to 150 pages worth of text in those 4 articles. So I thought, well, Chris, you're more than a quarter of the way there. Why not just go ahead and finish it off? So I'm finishing it off. And I have a feeling I'll be ending up self-publishing on Amazon, but what the hell?
Yep.
So I'm creating a book called The Linux Beginner's Bible, and if you're interested in it, let me know, and I'll forward you a chapter or 2. So, but that, kids, is the mobile Linux segment, and we're going to come right back and get into our Windows segment right after this brief message. Hi, this is Christopher Spera from iTechGear.org and the iTechGear Weekly, and I want to say 5 years. We've been at this for 5 years, and boy, we could really use your help. I know that you've probably been listening maybe for a week or 2 now, and you've heard me say this more than once. If you feel like you're getting something out of this particular podcast, boy, we really would appreciate a donation of any size, of any type, of any kind, for as often or as just a one-off as you feel called. This is all done on my personal dime. I've never taken any kind of money for this, not because I didn't want to, but because we haven't reached enough people yet. However, we're doing our best to expand our audience. We've had folks like Paul Thurrott from Windows Weekly, Chris Perillo from Locker Gnome, from Vibe Coding fame, from his personal Twitch channel. If you're familiar with Chris, then you know he's a nut and is a great guy to have on the show. We've had Todd Ogasawara from the Mobile Views podcast, and a few other folks that I've got lined up just waiting to get on the show. We are doing our best to make this show one of the absolute best that you can find on the internet. And $1, $2, anything that you can spare for as long as you can spare it would be wonderful as far as we're concerned. I'm not going to belabor this, but hey, we would really appreciate your support. And if you feel called, you can go ahead and make a donation to Chris at iTechGear.org. As I said, this is all coming out of my own pocket. So anything that you can go ahead and send us would be greatly appreciated. On behalf of Brother Joe McLaughlin, Mr. Chris Gavula, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin, and myself, I'd like to say thanks. And now let's get back on to the rest of the show. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 151, a new flavor of Eff-ery.
Welcome to the shit show.
Oh, yes, kids, we're
Every
back.
single day.
We're back.
A new flavor
And it has
of
been
fuckery.
just a little bit of a shit show this week, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. And now we've got another wonderful episode of the Microsoft Mistake-a-thon.
Biggest contributor that we know.
Oh, yes, kids. It's the Microsoft Mistake-a-thon. You know, some of the biggest winners we have, and here they are. Joel, we need to spin that big old wheel. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. I thought this next one was absolutely perfect. You know, speaking of Windows 10 taking a crap, Microsoft for consumers, Microsoft has been letting some enterprise customers know that their version of Windows 10 is also out of support, and they've been pushing Windows 11. Larry, what's going on here?
Well, they just earned another wheel spin. That's what happened. Microsoft has admitted, and they've been doing a lot of admitting lately, that a bug has been wrongfully telling some Windows users that they're out of support. This is kind of confusing because support hasn't fully ended for everyone. You can still extend Windows 10 for free until October 13th of next year.
Yeah.
And if you're on the enterprise version of LTSC,
With the
you're already
long-term
covered.
servicing
You don't
channel.
even need to buy the darn thing.
Yeah.
So, but Microsoft has told these people that you will see your version of Windows has reached the end of support. I read that just so you, exactly, it's a quote. Your version of Windows has reached the end of support when their PC is fully supported.
Yeah.
So this message is not being taken very well.
No, because I'm certain that there are a number of different IT managers that have gotten on the phone with their Microsoft account managers going, "What the ever loving heck?" You know,
Yep.
and have been trying to get some level of clarity on this. And Microsoft has come back and said, "Nope, you're right. It's wrong."
But the problem was is the alert doesn't go away until you give in to the demands and actually install Windows 11 version 25H2 or
Yeah.
24H2 LTSE for the enterprise people.
Which I just don't understand. But
Mm-mm.
because
Make it a
that's
little
wrong.
easier.
Because that's wrong. Because you're gonna get updates. It's especially if you're a enterprise company, you're not going to get the standard Patch Tuesday stuff every month. You're going to get stuff from your Windows administrator releases to you through the managed version of Windows Update, and you're going to get it only when they go ahead and release it, and not before. So, and they get them every month. They will go ahead though and cherry pick the ones that they want to install, and then and more so, they will go ahead and release them when they feel like it. So,
You know, a lot of people think enterprise doesn't update to the next version of Windows simply because it's a money thing, but that's really not true. It's the time and effort. If you
it's
have a
more of a
company
support
that
thing, right, Larry?
50,000 computers out there, and someone says you need to put all those computers on Windows 11 by this date, your life is hell in IT until
Mm-hmm.
that's done. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's about. It's not about the money. They can
It's about
afford
the support
to do
effort.
it. It's just the
Yeah.
support is horrid. And then there's training because, you know, we hear from everybody, I don't like Windows 11. Well, maybe there are some little nuances, but for the most part, there's not a big deal. But still, you got to go train the people.
Right.
So it's
Right.
just a pain.
Because
One
there are
big
some
pain.
there are UI differences between Windows 10 and Windows 11. It looks different. It acts different. All right. It functions differently.
Right, and
Um,
while you and I and Joel and Chris Gavula, it's not a big deal for us.
yeah,
For the average, well, I don't know, admin person, it could be a big deal for them.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So,
But I don't
yeah,
think there's an end to this one. Did they ever come to any kind of conclusion with this, or you
I
just had to
I
update? I
I
think you had to update, and that was it.
I think they've come out with a bug fix for this, but yeah, I don't know. It's aware of the report. Microsoft is aware of the reports and has deployed a server side fix. All right, which is now being rolled out. So yes, there is a bug for this. Um, to apply the server side patch, just check for updates and reboot your PC. So, but then
Okay.
again, your Windows admin has to approve that patch to come down to you, and you have to install it. And you know, of course, that there's going to be testing for it to make certain that it doesn't screw anything else up on your end. So it's going to be a little bit before it completely gets around. So,
All
and
right.
that's always fun.
Yep.
Next,
Yeah.
this is an absolute beaut. I love this one. Um, after a recent Windows update, your PC may boot into a BitLocker recovery screen.
Yep.
We've had
This
this one
has
about
happened
10 times
before.
this week alone.
Yeah.
Yep. So
So
this happened after the October 2025 security updates on Windows 10 22H2 and 11 24H2, and 1125H2. According to Microsoft, issue primarily affects Intel-based machines with modern standby, a new lower power mode that enables background activity when in sleep. But, I guess you just didn't have to use your PC that day.
Yeah, unfortunately, what you've got to do here at this point is you go to aka https:// Microsoft .ms, I believe, and at that point, and then you look up. Your computer's going to give you a label that tells you which um, and a date that tells you what computer that you're looking for and what date it may have been installed. And as long as you sign in with your Microsoft account, you should be able to find that computer name and find that date, and then find the private unlocking key that goes along with that uh,
Happened to me before.
public key, and then
Been there, done this many times.
yep, and then you go ahead and you type in that long 32 or longer character, whatever it is, and
Stupid long. Yeah.
you then go ahead and it's like what? It's 12 or so um groups of
16-bit probably.
six numbers, six number groups, and you type all that stuff in, and it'll unlock and allow your computer to boot. Most companies that I know of will require you to have your PC BitLocker encrypted because they don't want anybody else to get access to the information.
A lot of times you'll get into this situation if you change the motherboard in a computer too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Change the motherboard, or if you change enough PC components, whether that's you upgrade your SSD or hard drive, or you change some RAM, or you change your graphics adapter, or you change all three of those or two of those or whatever. There's enough change that the computer will go ahead and it'll trip this trigger that says, okay, enter in your bootlocker recovery screen. You want to make certain that you are entitled to see this data and not just have, because otherwise it locks it down and you have to blow the drive.
Yep.
And reinstall. It protects your data. But yeah, this is a big one. Fortunately it doesn't corrupt or compromise any data. But and you can get back to it just by entering that BitLocker key. And then after that, the computer should boot normally. But this is another bug that they've got to fix. It's a butte too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and last but not least, Microsoft, and we talked about this, I believe it was last week, where Microsoft had decided that they were going to change and greatly simplify the naming convention for Windows updates. And there's been a lot of negative feedback from IT managers, and they've just been losing their minds over this because they want to be able to match up specific knowledge base numbers or KB numbers with specific updates to make certain that they understand that their issues are being addressed by Microsoft. And apparently you may not necessarily get that KB number with the new friendlier renaming system. So Joel, what's going on here?
Yep. So now they're reverting back to the old naming standard because of the community backlash. So, yeah.
That's just
They basically buckled under because whatever this it's reminds me of the GM story that we talked about in the last few weeks.
Yep.
Where I will say, for one thing, at least Microsoft listened to people.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
Agreed.
Bye-bye.
At least they listened to somebody this time. But I mean,
yeah.
And I got to give them kudos for at least trying. maybe they do this just for pro or home based installs, and they
Right.
don't do it for enterprise or education based installs. Um, I don't know.
But wouldn't that complicate it more, maybe?
Um, I don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't know. Um,
Well, it was missing the year and month, which was how it was showing up before. And this new one did have the KB number in it, but it didn't have the year and month of the update,
no,
which makes it hard for IT admins to figure out. Well, did this system get the update this month or
I
not?
don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know, and that's why they went ahead and I guess they reverted back. But I
Yep.
don't know. I don't know. But speaking of releasing builds and whatnot, I hear that Microsoft has released their first test build of Windows 11 26H1 to the Windows Insider Canary channel.
So that's what Paul says
And I'll
on
believe it.
front.com.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's interesting about Windows 11 26H1?
It's not a feature update for one for 25H2. Only
Okay.
includes platform changes to support specific silicon. There's no action required by customers, the Windows Insider team said today, adding that Windows 11 remains on an annual feature update cadence.
Right. So from what I understand, and I did look into this a little bit because this is really for Windows 26H1, at least initially, 26H1 is going to be all about Windows on
Copilot.
ARM.
Yeah.
There's specific Snapdragon X Elite, or X Plus, I believe chips that this is really going to be targeted at.
Right.
All right. And I believe this is going to be targeted at the higher end Snapdragon X2 chips. All right. Um, so, uh, and maybe other not just Qualcomm chips, but other high end ARM based chips where they are going to really see some feature updates or some feature adds um, to those installs eventually, but maybe not initially. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that'll be interesting, right? Right?
Maybe.
I think.
All right.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move us to our tip of the week segment. And I really must, before we get there, um, remind everybody that, iTechGear was founded with the intent of making technology easy for everyone to use and understand. And this team specifically has dedicated their writing careers to that specific purpose. And so every week we're going to have a tip, a new computing tip authored by one of our experienced editors here. Questions, concerns, comments, or yay, dare I say, ideas should be forwarded on to tips@itechgear.org. And if we use your tip, we will give you your 15 seconds worth of fame. Case in point, kids. I got a guy here named Larry McJunkin who went ahead
Magic.
and
Ah,
wrote us a tip here. Larry, do you happen to know or understand who I might be talking about?
I wrote you a whole bunch of them. Just use them. Be my guest.
Thank you. So yes, this one authored by Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. This is called "Adjust Screen Brightness and Text Size." Staring at your computer screen all day can cause eye strain, and it can be painful. I agree. Adjusting brightness and text size helps reduce fatigue and makes things easier to see. Your screen should be bright enough to read clearly, but not so bright that it hurts your eyes, especially in a dark room. Most computers and browsers let you increase your text size, which is helpful if you find yourself squinting. Dark mode is another option many people may prefer because it reduces glare. You should experiment with both of these settings until you find a comfortable balance. Protecting your eyes isn't just about comfort, it also makes you more productive since you can work longer without strain. Yeah, you want to go ahead and really increase or decrease text size. Control plus or control minus will go ahead in most browsers. Either plus will grow the size, minus will shrink the size. Dark mode is a wonderful thing. Um, Basically,
Absolutely.
just kind of it reverses the whole palette and makes all your windows black. Makes all of most of your document windows black with white text. And if you are spending any time trying to review documentation, read things, edit things, as I'm trying to do with my book, it's a huge plus. So consider adjusting your screen size using dark mode.
For
Uh,
you Mac users out there, you probably haven't realized it yet, but because in years past, Apple didn't give us a lot of ways to change things when it came to text. We could
No.
change everything, and that was it. But
mhm.
in the new 26 series, if you'll look in settings and look for, just type in the word text, it lets you do an overall setting. Like if you want to have all your apps and system fonts and everything set to whatever 14 point, you can do that. But then you can call out all the applications and individually set those to either match that or match a certain text size or match a different variable. So they have really upped their game. And to me, that's one of the nicest accessibility issues that Apple has added to the Mac OS operating system.
Right. And what is that system that reduces the amount of blue light in the computer screen?
Oh,
It's
I
done
don't
now.
use it because I don't like it, but it kind of yellows out the white.
It does. It does yellow out the white. If you don't go with dark mode, it will yellow out the white, but
There is a name, and I can't think of it, but
it decreases the amount of blue light, which is hard on the eyes to see for an extended period of time. It works in both Mac OS as well as Windows. They're two different names.
well, they have an
Night,
iPhone and an iPad too.
yeah. Um, but you should look into both of those as well, and use both of those. So, but that's this week's tip of the week, and I want to thank the that guy Larry Magickin for sending us the wonderful group of tips that we're going to be using over the next number of weeks. So there you go. And speaking of Mr. Magickin, Larry, you've got the tip or the pick this week. What's that? Well, hang on a
I
minute.
do.
I before we get to the actual tip, not to be a tease, but I want to take a moment to remind our listeners that our show picks are typically hardware, software, and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and we actually use and we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These aren't paid advertisements or items that which we have any kind of affiliated marketing relationship with. If they were, the editorial policy over at iTechGear.org indicates that we have to notify you of that up front. These are just sincerely things that we believe in, and we want to bring them to you at the end of each show. Why?
Because we like
Because we
you.
like you.
That's it. Larry, now, what's your pick?
I've got kind of a common name pick here, but I think it's something we all take for granted and we all forget about sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
The wonderful Amazon Kindle. If you read it all, especially as you get older, speaking of eyesight, as Chris was with that tip, it's harder, according to even my own optometrist, it's harder on your eyes to read a book than it
Mm-hmm.
is to read on a Kindle. Because a Kindle, you can match the color, the size, the shape, the text, the font, the environment, the warmth, the cool. You can do all of those things and make that a reading environment exactly what you want. So, I mean, I don't read as much as I used to, but I'm trying to get back in it. There's a lot of books out there now that I just would like to read. This is my third Kindle, and what we're talking about is the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite. It's not their cheapest, but it's really they've kind of pared down their Kindle versions. They have an entry level. They have the good old fashioned or the staple of the Paperwhite, and then they have one color one. I forget what they call it, color something, but This is my third Kindle in about 20 some years, which is a much better longevity track record than my computers and smartphones, which I change every year. My last Kindle was an Oasis about 5 or 6 years ago. My wife commandeered that about 3 or 4 years ago when she joined a book club, and I finally got the bug to read some more. So I just bought this new Paperwhite, and there's little to be said about the Kindle Paperwhite that somebody hadn't said good about it before. Like all the other 14,000 reviewers of it on Amazon, I think it's the best ebook, e-reader on the planet. I've tried reading books on my iPad. I've tried my Mac. I've tried an old Mac Mini I used to have. I mean, an iPad Mini, and of course my iPhone. Then the latter, the iPhone is really good if you're in a doctor's office, you want to read a chapter. You're at the car dealership getting your oil changed. Those are great. You don't want to drag that whole Kindle around with you, but have the Kindle app on your iDevice is the way to go. But I'm bringing it today as the show pick primarily as a reminder that if you've been on the fence about getting a Kindle, the price is right, $160 for their most popular one. I promise if you get this, you won't be sorry. This is their latest version. This is the newest, I think, 12th generation. So it's got all the bugs and whistles. I really like it. It comes, you can get a very cool case for it. It's magnetic, both when you close it to protect it and when you flip that cover over to the back so you can kind of hold it as a single device without the cover flopping around. It's magnetic there as well. So Apple, you should take a lesson from that case. It's really nice. That's it. That's all I got.
Well, I want to add on here to this. The Kindle Paperwhite. I mean, it's an e-ink device. All right.
Right.
Which means that there, when it flips pages, it's going to flow through. All right. And what you guys didn't see was my fingers wobbling back and forth. It flows through as you flip the pages. But the text is nice and crisp. It's easy to read from, like you said. The ad supported version, meaning that there are ads on the lock screen for this.
Do you know what? They only last about a microsecond when you first open it up, and then they're gone. That's it.
Right.
One little ad.
Right. And then they aren't going to be video based. They aren't going to be because e-ink doesn't do video very well.
No, you swipe up to open your book, and they're gone.
Right. It, like Larry said, it's 160. If you don't even want to trifle with those ads, you can get an ad-free edition, and it's only 20 more bucks, so 180 if you're interested.
And they're going to be way better than any of their Fire tablets because those are crap.
Yeah. If your main interest is just reading books, don't chase after the Fire-based tablet.
No, Joel, you're so right. No.
Chase after the.
They're garbage.
The nice thing about e-ink Kindles, they look the same if you're reading them in any kind of light, outdoors, indoors, in a bright sun, on the beach. It doesn't matter. It's just perfect. So
yeah, I agree. So, well, that, kids, is the pick, and that, kids, is the show. This has been the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 151, a new flavor of Eff-ery.
Welcome to the ship show.
There you go.
Every
And it's been a beaut it's been a beaut this week, kids. We'll see you next time.
Cause everybody's such to see and they're dumber than a bat.